This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Revival of America podcast. This is Jenny. I'm the owner and the host of the Revival of America. Today, everybody, we are launching a new show called Tech Talk with Dr. James B. Joyce. He's going to be telling us a little bit about his history and his involvement within the technology and a lot of the stuff that we see out there, data centers, AI, all the stuff that everybody's a little bit nervous about. He's going to put a little bit of peace to your minds to let us know the truth about technology and that it can really benefit us here in the coming very near future, not so much of the fear base that they like to put us in out there in that lying world that we're living in. So please, everybody, if you guys have a question for Dr. James here over on X, feel free to request a mic and I will unmute your mic at some point. You can ask Dr. James your question over here on Rumble and X Live. If you guys have questions, feel free to write your question down in the comment area and I will read those to Dr. James as well. At some point in the podcast. Dr. James will be coming on every other Monday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, opposite of Derek Johnson. So Derek Johnson will be on next Monday, and then Dr. James will be on the following Monday after that. So it will be every other Monday with Dr. James. Also, to everybody, we are being listened to in 150 countries. So if you come into this podcast late or would like to listen to the replay, share it with a family or friend. Feel free to go follow the podcast on the podcast host or my social medias, which are iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, Google, Breaker, PocketCast, Podbean, Riverside, Amazon Music. Social medias are Jenny Jeread Facebook, at Jenny_Jeread right here on X, at JJeread Rumble, at JJeread True Social, at JJeread Instagram, the Revival of America on Telegram, and the Revival of America over on YouTube. Also, everybody, please be careful who you listen to, who you follow, what you're putting into your mind. Rubber Duck and I, we talked about this on our show today. It's a thing. There's a lot of craziness going on, as many of you see and hear. But these people, the more they talk, the more they expose themselves. They're showing their true colors, their narratives. They're trying to spin the narratives. Just stay out of the noise, everybody. There's more positive going on than there is negative. So they want you to focus on the negative because they want to keep you in fear. But guys, we are winning more than we are losing. I mean, we're not even losing. We're winning, winning, winning. So please stay out of the noise, stay out of the negative. Again, because we are winning like crazy. Let's see. Hold on, Dr. James. I'm going to get you co-host. Yeah, so stay out of the noise, everybody. Stick and stay with the people that haven't led you wrong through the course of your journey here. More than likely, they'll get you through it. However, you never know. We are seeing some people that maybe you have followed, I have followed for a while, that are showing their true colors. So just pay attention to that, guys. It's for me, it's easier to see. I have a pretty good judge of character, but for me, it's pretty easy to see, what's going on out there with the bullshit. So be careful, guys. Also, too, for those of you that are sending me your submissions to get your voice, your story heard on the podcast, and you're sending them to my regular email, the revival of America at yahoo.com, don't do that because it's getting buried. Your story is getting buried in either spam or in all the emails I get on a daily basis. So if you are trying to send over a story or a journey that you'd like to have heard on the podcast, send them to the submissions email. I created it straight for the submissions, which is TROA submissions at yahoo.com. That's strictly for your submissions. I will read through. Give me a little synopsis of your story. I'll read through it. I'll vet it. If I believe it's legitimate, I'll reach back out to you via email. We'll get your voice, your story heard on the show because everybody, your story is going to help shape this new world we're coming into. And then if you have an email just for me, you have a question about something, you want to get in touch with John Baxter and his staff, you want to purchase Phil McConnell's books, whatever it may be, send all that in, or send your email over to the Revival of America at yahoo.com, and I will get back to you as soon as I can on those. And also, if any of you get a random message claiming to be me or any of my guests, know that myself or my guests will not randomly reach out to you and ask you if you're ready for the scare event, if anything financial, anything crypto. Just block, report them. Let me know so I can make sure they are not in any of my channels. Because you guys, if you know me, I don't deal with drama. I don't deal with trolls, scammers. I don't deal with the bullshit. I get it out of there because not only am I trying to protect my channel and my guests, but also too, you, the members, or people like you that can't come over here on X Space. They like to tap on your icon or whatever, and they like to DM you pretending to be myself or any of my guests. And there's a lot of scams out there, guys. Are getting more creative by the day, and a lot of people. I've had a lot of messages from my audience members letting me know some of the stories that they've gone through. And it's pretty scary. But at this point in time, if you guys fall for that after as many times as myself and my guests tell you not to, then that's on you. So if you have a question about an email, you want to send it to me, or you want to ask me about it, email me at therevivalofamerica@yahoo.com. I'll let you know what I think if it is or isn't. It probably more than likely is. But again, you can email me over there at therevivalofamerica@yahoo.com. And with that, I'm not going to take too much more of Dr. James' time. I think he might be a little bit nervous, but I don't think he should be because he talks on these spaces. He's going to do great. He's going to give you guys a little bit of a background of him and what he's done. He'll tell you what he can tell you. So if he's not able to answer a question, it will probably be because he can't speak on maybe that topic. So again, if you guys don't mind reposting this space, let's get some more people in here because I know a lot of people have concerns about the AI, the data centers. I mean, you're just hearing all the negative out there, but Dr. James is going to turn that around for many of you and give you guys some hope of what is to come here in the future. So with that, I'd like to welcome my get new guest and part of the podcast and my good friend, Dr. James. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Jenny, I'm doing great this evening. How are you? You
I'm
sound good.
good. You
That's
ready?
good.
Are you ready? You
Oh,
sound
no,
great.
I'm really not at all. I'm no, 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 really.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. And just, you know me, I'm so shy.
No,
Yeah.
you're
No, it's good to
not.
be here. Yeah. You had a great space earlier today, too. That was awesome.
Well,
That
thank
was
you,
really
Dr.
good with
James.
RD and sure.
Yeah, those are
It was
always good
fun.
with Rubber Duck. All honestly, all of my guests are really good. I'm very thankful to have all the guests that I do have. So, and
Yeah.
I would not take it. I would never guess, Dr. James, that you're shy. Really?
No, really not. Yeah, it would have been on your other show, I think, but I was building some stairs on the mountain here for wifey and it's one of those things. Got to keep doing it. Oh, so yeah, background. I was gonna lie about my background, but then I'm looking down the people on here, and I see somebody that's known me for most of my life that I wasn't expecting to see on here. So damn it, I'm gonna have to tell the truth, or that person's gonna be like, "Oh,
They're gonna hold you accountable.
dude," and he will. He'll call me something that he'll add a T to a word that I don't want added, and I can't even explain it. But yeah, so or he'll remove a T from a word. Yeah, that's what he'll do. So yeah, it's good to be here. Let's see. Quick background in a nutshell. From Arkansas, raised mostly in the South till the day before ninth grade. Moved to New York for ninth and 10th, Jersey for 11 and 12. Went to a bunch of universities, studied a lot of things. Lived all over the world, a lot of continents, a lot of languages. That kind of thing. A lot of corporate America, a lot of defense contracting. A pretty wide variety of stuff. Studied more than I care to admit to about a bunch of different fields, and I don't know. So it's a wide a variety background. Early on, I wanted to be a psychiatrist. I sort of my
Is
mentor
that
was
where the doctor came from? Is that where the
no,
doctor?
no. I
Okay.
mean, initially, I was the going to be the first path, but like my mentor was my uncle, and he was a preeminent psychiatrist. He was at the agency and was a World War II vet. Was very influential in how I think and stuff. And in his day, uh, the field was meritorious and honorable because they really tried to help people. um, it changed in the 80s, really. Became a tool, political tool. It became a they closed the asylums. They didn't want to treat people with real problems. They wanted to treat the worried well. And these are people that aren't really mentally ill, but they're just a little messed up enough that they'll keep coming in every week and, talking for a session and their insurance covers the tab, right? And so that's what the profession had become. And it's just not honorable. Yeah, you get the nice house and the nice vehicle and whatever it is, but what are you doing with your life, right? So I don't know. I went to engineering school, electrical engineering. Then worked, I guess, in that area for many years. Worked for places like worked as a defense contractor on some missile stuff. I worked at the Nielsen ratings, which is a cool place. Found out, I guess, one of my best friends for life working at the Nielsen ratings, and learned a lot on the R&D bench there. Started working in AI then, and that was the mid '80s, and that was it, right? I knew where AI was going to go, so like the next like 15 years or so, I was working in companies because I was married, family, kids, whatever, right? And so like uh, I did the security for the Clinton election headquarters and transition in '92. I consulted for a lot of big companies back then. Um, but that was really the first political foray, right? Then um, then I worked for like Deutsche Bank as a network architect and security officer. And I worked at Sun Microsystems as an engineer. And then I started a company. I started a cybersecurity company focused on predominantly national security issues, secure the critical infrastructure of the United States. This was in February of 2000. And I filed a patent in April of 2000. And the reason we formed the company was really to protect this. It turned out to be, it was the AI firewall patent, but it was the first patent that ever described a complex AI engine, right? So that was the foundation for the AI stuff you have today. That uh, that's it evolved into a lot of different technologies, a couple of hundred forward citations from different corporations and different types of tech that spun off of that. Um, and so this company, pretty quickly, we became a Defense Department prime contracting company, and I was in and out of the agencies and the White House and all kinds of stuff, like all the time. It was nonstop. Really good stuff. The highest level advising stuff. It'd take too long to go into all of it, right? Um, but um, but yeah, I had that exposure. I was there before, during, and after 9/11. Um, it was intense. We'll probably talk about some of that stuff at some point. Um, but that's definitely not the focus. I talk more about that on like rubber ducks spaces and whatnot. But yeah, that was pretty intense. Um, and then then in '06, 2006, I invented this other type of technology. Um, Something different, a different type of AI kind of filter system. And that was started a problem, I guess. The tech was worth ridiculous amounts of money. Um, Things were going on in life that were oh, it's tough in DC when you're a patriot, right? And you want to ensure that like tech goes a certain way, and other people want to ensure that tech is used another way, right? And to give you an idea of this particular tech, like in early 2006, early mid spring, whatever. I went to, I briefed the former director of the Central Intelligence Agency and this young tech guy named Snowden on this technology,
I
right?
just, it was so
And
funny.
yeah, it was at that's what he was. He was like a young tech guy. I was like maybe I think he was in his probably second year at the agency, right?
I was going to say he must have been really
Maybe out
young.
of college. Yeah. But he was real sharp. But there were a few other people there, but those were the notable ones. And so yeah, I briefed him on that tech. And then shortly after that, things started getting really bizarre in life. Um and again, I don't want to detract the point of the space by going into the things that happened, but it was life or death. I was on the run for a long time. I was in court for many years, cost me everything. I won in the U.S. Court of Appeals. All this can be looked up, and I still lost everything.
Well, I
Um,
think
it's
that's
amazing how that works.
I think that's all good for, kind of your background to show like what you did, and
Right.
who you did it with, and then this is what happened to you, and this is why maybe you can and can't say certain things. So the audience will
Right.
know.
And that gets us about up to really recently. A few years I was moving for about 10 years. I was also doing a PhD. It ended up being a double PhD. in computer science and information science, and I got that in December of 2019. So, and this is the thing that's made that this stuff is all about. So, for my PhD, I solved a math problem that has been around for a long time. And I was able to do things with it, create encryption that couldn't be broken. It was faster than other stuff, right? Works on everything, doesn't cost anything, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like the holy grail. In the encryption books, it's written up as if somebody can do this. This is the holy grail of encryption, right? And so I did it. I made this stuff work. I figured out also how to break the other encryption. So that started another pursuit for this tech, and it's been crazy. So, and again, I don't want to get bogged down in the details of this, but that's predominantly where the doctor came from, Jenny, is the PhD in comp sci and info sci. Plus, my stage name in a band I was in was um, Doctor something, and I'm not going to say the name because I have another account on another platform under that name. But yep, I had that's a different type of doctor. So yeah,
So
and
where
I
do you
live in the
want us?
Ozarks, and that's about it.
So where would you like to start? I mean, can you talk further into the days of Snowden and kind of how we'll kind of start there and where we're at now, and then maybe touch a little bit. Everybody's freaking out about the data centers and the new AI that is coming out. I mean,
Yeah.
AI has been around forever, so this is nothing new. They've been tracking us, for a long time. I mean, when they put that little chip in our credit card a long time ago, that was part of the tracking devices that they're going to start tracking us with. But yeah, if you want to, wherever you want to start, Dr. James, I'm here if you need
Okay.
me to help you guide. But yeah, wherever you want to go with it.
Yeah, I think Jenny, I'd like to start with like the initial premise for the whole series, right? And then dive into any of these topics, right? So, like, the whole premise is this: so much of our global economy, our world, everything, technology, medicine, you name it, is driven by making money off the misfortune of others, right? It's not because you made something beautiful or you made something good and released it or produced it or sold it or whatever. It's because literally something really bad happened to somebody and you were in the right place at the right time. So you've had a way to make a lot of money off them having that bad thing happen to them, right? Does that make sense so far?
Yep, yep,
That's
you're
like,
on it.
okay, okay. So, like, everything is that way. Medicine is that way. Pharmacy is that way. And my field, computer security, is the same way. Same exact business model, right? People are, you buy antivirus software or anti spam stuff. This stuff is bundled in with your OS or whatever you buy, right? You get Lifelock insurance. You get, I mean, you name it, right? You buy firewalls. You get a different router. You get whatever you get, all the types of levels of security that you do. Okay. This is all because they make stuff that is breakable, right? So it's like the planned obsolescence in manufacturing, they used to make things that didn't break, and it's like, wait a minute, we can't make any service money off of this. So we have to make stuff that breaks so that we can make a bunch of soft dollars off of this or extra money, right? Because damn, if it lasts forever, then that's it. We can't get repeat customers that way. So this is all off the misfortune of others. If they made products that lasted, you get it, it would last, and you're good. And you don't have to spend that money again. But no. So in any case, right? So that happens in cybersecurity. Protocols are purposefully weak. You've got companies that sell antivirus and things like that, and they're like linked with teams that write viruses. They have researchers that write viruses. Um, it's so like the industry is let's see, they do cybersecurity. The spending globally is, I think, around 20 to 30. It is about 275 million billion $275 billion a year. Okay, sorry, my head was just mixed up.
For
Like,
cybersecurity? Wow.
yeah, cybersecurity, just under 300 billion a year, right? Telecom is like 1.5 trillion a year, and a lot of that is security related. Um, And then, so that's a lot of money, right? Well, ransomware costs about 75 billion a year right now. And it's projected in 5 years to go to 375 billion a year just for ransomware. But if I told you, oh, no, I'll tell you. Okay, yeah, if I were to tell you this, you wouldn't know. So, like, but if you the total global losses per year just for cyber hacking, right? $10.5 trillion per year is lost to hackers. 10.5 trillion a year. Okay. Now you think, wow, where's all this money going? Well, you don't see a bunch of hackers all of a sudden like driving around in Lamborghinis, do you? You know, bunch of like people with pocket protectors and really thick glasses and Lambos. No, just saying. And wearing all black probably. But yeah, you don't see that, right? You see a bunch of wealthy people getting wealthy, which tells you that like ultimately, if $10.5 trillion is going somewhere every year, you'd see signs of that, right? And you don't see signs in the hacker community of that stuff. It's the rich people paying the hackers to do the stuff, and they're making the money too. Okay, this is a vicious cycle. You know, it's like people that fund both sides of a war. So that's what we have going on in the market here too. They fuel the fixes and they fuel the problems, right? So they funnel money into hackers that develop these things and break systems. And they funnel the money into the cybersecurity companies. They make money off both sides of it. Um, and predominantly, it is making money off of the misfortune of everybody that uses the products, right? And all the extra stuff, the insurance you have to have, and the life locks, whatever, right? All these are extraneous. Now, what would the world be like if all it were that were impossible? If it were impossible to ever hack anything. Can you like picture that in your mind? Like we have your phones and your computers, your laptops, your routers, you got infrastructure, you got comms going to satellites, you got data in storage in places, right? You've got your own personal stuff, whatever it is. Imagine that that is all mathematically impossible to break or to crack, right? What would that do in terms of the world? What would the impact be? So there'd be a social impact. One, people would really chill out a lot, right? I mean, it wouldn't be all the problems, right? But a lot of their problems would disappear. You know, like they wouldn't have to worry about like, oh my God, is my ID going to be stolen? Is somebody going to swipe my card? Is somebody going to like hack my bank account? Whatever it is. Um, that's not a worry anymore, okay? Ever. And as you these bigger worries than most people realize. If you involve part of your life in a digital world, like say you got a digital wallet, you worried somebody's going to find some way to break it, steal it, or just wipe it out. I mean, these things can happen. So, like, if you don't have to ever worry about anything like that happening again, if you don't ever have to worry about some of your communications ever being compromised again, ever, forever, imagine that. You do that, and then people are chill, right? But what happens to the industry? You've got what do we say it was? It was like a 30 billion a year cybersecurity expenditure right now globally, right?
Yeah, I think that's what you said. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that would dry up right away. A bunch of the 1.5 trillion in telecom would dry up because the protocols around what I've developed are a lot faster than the protocols they're using now. So not only does it do security, like you can replace all the routing, switching, a lot of some of the infrastructure, like you can do point to point things you couldn't do before because of the way the protocols work, and it's extremely rapid. doing like Zoom calls or like this without like the monkey in the middle box, right? Um, but these are just there's really surface level things. It affects industries like pretty much horizontally. Anyone using random numbers for anything, which is like every casino in the world, and that's just a tiny industry, right, compared to large fields. So, yeah. So okay. So you have the world we have today, where people are pulling $10.5 trillion a year just from hacking, and then you have this world where it's impossible to pull a dime from anything illegally. In fact, it makes digital crime impossible, right? So why aren't we using it? It's been out since December of 2019. Why is nobody using it? Why is every investment group that comes into this not who they claim to be? Highly funded groups. This is what I've been seeing for several years now since we started to try to commercialize this and get it in. Um, the groups are highly funded. They all state that they are people. Some of them may be the people they claim they are, but many of them claim that they are people that they are not. Um, and it's been people, but some are. One I can tell you was Keith Rainier of Nexium. So it's people at that level, right, that have tried to approach me for this technology, and no one has been on the level.
Do you think, Dr. James, that we will be using that level of technology at some point?
I can't imagine why we wouldn't, right?
Right.
It's just a matter of, because, like, so here's the deal, too. Like, the government itself has invested all this money for many years in NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology, right, on their encryption contest and their post quantum stuff. And so they're coming up with quantum encryption, right? So that's great. You can't break quantum encryption, okay? But let's say you want to hook two computers up with quantum encryption today. It costs you, depending on how far away you are from each other, it can cost you $500,000 to several $1,000,000 just to hook two computers up. Okay, very special gear, different fiber lines, all kinds of stuff. Okay, and it's very expensive. Um, and it's not as fast as my stuff anyway. And oh, for mine, you don't need anything. It runs on any computer, anything with a chip. It doesn't need special software, no special hardware, nothing, right? Any operating system, the smallest sensors in the world to the largest supercomputers. Doesn't matter. And it doesn't cost anything.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
Right. That's what I've been thinking for several years. But it seems like a bunch of people are invested in this money. I mean, have invested a lot of money in the way the market is now. There's hundreds of billions, if not trillions, of research into post quantum stuff. And in the systems that are out there today, right? The data centers that are going up, the AI models, all of these things, but very especially the blockchain. So, for example, like most blockchain today is built on this hash algorithm called SHA-256. I have a hash algorithm. The more bits in a hash algorithm, the stronger it is, right? So hash 250 SHA-256 has 256 bits of whatever. Mine has 6,144 bits, and it runs 50 times faster than the 256-bit one. Usually, the bigger the hash, the slower it is, right? So I made one that's significantly larger and significantly faster. Okay. And in fact, it's mathematically impossible to crack, which they don't have today. So, what it does for blockchain is it takes it to another level where, like today, you can't use a blockchain for things like real estate title transactions, smart contracts aren't fully binding, things like that. If you integrate with a hash algorithm that cannot be broken, then you can do title.
But
So all these things,
in the future,
yeah.
they're going to be right peer to peer, and they're going to be binding on the blockchain.
Well, They would be if they have a strong enough hash in the middle of them, right? That's the thing holding them up today. So, yeah, and I'm not going to say who, but I had somebody big in the crypto industry try to steal my source code for this. Okay, had me do demos on video and in person, comparing my hash algorithm to SHA-256, and tried to steal my source code right in front of me. Literally. I'm not going to say
Wow.
who. Flew me to a real nice place or not flew me, I drove, but to a real nice place in Miami. And mm, well known. So yeah, uh, literally. I mean, when when they're sitting in front of you with, it's like, mind if I drive? And you let them drive your laptop, and you say, oh, those are nice Ray-Ban Meta goggles. Yeah, they were Ray-Ban Metas, and as he was rifling through the system, it was Linux, and I said, dude, there's no source code on the whole box. It was very upset. Anywho, yeah, so these things happen. I said, this is a demo. You don't get to see my code. So yeah, things like that have happened. Um, and that's, I mean, that kind of stuff is for another day and for another venue, right? That's definitely not stuff for this space. That's legal stuff. So anywho, yeah, but it's been pretty crazy, Jenny. Uh, the industry doesn't want the tech out because think about it. They make a lot of money from the misfortune of others, right? And
Yep.
the government doesn't want it out because I don't, not Trump specific, but in general, governments don't want it out because they can't spy on you. Okay.
Right.
Here's the other level of it. Like if you've got encryption and then like somebody steals your encryption keys, they can decrypt your data and get your stuff. Right. So with mine, if you're forced to turn your keys over to the government or if somebody steals your keys, they still cannot decrypt your data. That's the bit of it that really freaked them out. Okay. So only you can do that. And I'm not going to go into the details of it on here, but that's how tight this stuff is. And so, yeah, they don't want you to have the ability to communicate in any way that they cannot decipher. Every time you hear the government say, "Oh, we can't get inside this Apple phone," that's BS. Okay, that's absolute horse hockey. All right, they're in the phones. They're in anything they want to be in. Okay, there isn't a system out there they can't get into if they don't want to, whenever they want to. Um, and there's very few the FBI can't. There's none the NSA can't get into. Okay, just forget about it. All right. Even if you have an air gap. All right. So they do the impossible every day. And but that's the world. That's the gist of this is that again, it's making money off the misfortune of others. And while medicine and all these fields need to change this way, cybersecurity is the easy example for me because I'm really in the middle of it right now. I'm trying to promote this technology. And again, the government and the private sector are so vested in these extremely expensive quantum devices, and they're trying to get the cost of these things down to like, oh, $1,000 to $5,000 per device, right? Just for the encryption link, right? And that's what they're trying to get it down to. So I mean, if you've got an enterprise corporation, you want to do all your devices, you're going to spend $500 billion to link all your systems up. I mean, I don't think so, right? Why? And for hardware that's eventually going to be obsoleted and you'll have to swap out a few years down the road, why not just go ahead and drop in a protocol that runs forever that you never have to update? Right? And doesn't cost you anything and works better than anything else you could do. And it's all mathematically proven. So that's where I am. It's I do write algorithms other than that. And, it's sounds pretty boring and yeah, it is. I prefer to play music and do stuff with a band and things like that. But I did a little of that on the third actually, so that was good. Played with a band at a party up here in the Ozarks. I was sat in a little bit, did some singing. And it was fun.
Oh,
I
that's
think good.
awesome. Well, why don't
Yeah,
why
that's
don't you
good.
tell the audience a little bit, because we know a lot of the data centers and all this AI out there is on the forefront of a
Mm.
lot of people's minds. Can you maybe tell a little bit to the audience what you and I were talking about a little bit a couple days ago in regards to the future of technology and how really it can actually be in our favor, meaning safe, and it's not this doom and gloom that's being put all out there?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think, and actually, I think all of it is really positive. I mean, this tech is all, I mean, everything, most of what we hear from the media about it is fear porn, right? They want us scared. So they're going to use tech as well as the weather and anything else, right? So, um, yeah, they definitely want us scared of tech going forward and spying. An example of that is like, when they talk about like Claude and the robots, like in the lab, and he decided on his own that he was going to try to blackmail the programmer instead of getting turned off or something like that, right? It's like, look what he's learned to do all on his own. No, he didn't learn that all on his own. These are things that they were programmed to do. All right. But they're pushing these things to try to get everybody scared. Specific to data centers. So, yeah, I've heard a lot of hype. I think the market is somewhere around $300 billion a year for data centers in the this year. I think is $310 billion somewhere in there. Um, and that's a lot of money. That does not include like the mega sites, like some of the stuff XAI Grok is doing, Meta, Anthropic, some of these facilities. That's probably outside of that. So you're looking at a tremendous amount of money going into data centers. Um, we're hearing a lot of fear porn about the data centers. So like most of what I hear is like, oh, they're just popping up all over in my little town, and they're using all this water, and now we have no water in our town. The water table's dropping, and right. So,
Yeah,
I, yeah, yeah, that's the story. That's the
that's the
narrative.
fear porn.
So yeah, that's the fear porn, and I've built data centers. I've owned data centers. I've operated data centers. Um, They used to use a little more water than they do today. Today they use almost no water. It's they use sealed systems, right? You fill the thing up and that water circulates around and it just stays around there. You might have to swap it out every once in a while, maybe once a year or every couple of years, whatever, but it's not that much water, right? So that tells me that something is not true in uh, the narrative, right? So either they're not using all that water and they're trying to get environmentalists all worked up and they're saying they are, and they're just building the buildings, or they're building the buildings and they are using that much water. But if they're using that much water, these aren't data centers, right? So, or they are data centers and they're sloughing water off just to create a seam. These are the only possibilities of it. Um, I don't know. I haven't been to any of these towns where they say there's been this big data center that's just popped up and there's no water anymore, right? Just seen the reports. I heard it for a few days. It seems to have faded a bit, but it's a guarantee that if they're building data centers, they're not using much water at all. Now, if they're building mega prisons where they're going to have like 20,000 people staying in a building, like 20,000 little toilets and little sinks and little rooms. And I can see them using a lot of water. Yeah. So maybe they're building out little prisons. But let's assume they're building data centers. If they're building data centers, they're not using that much water. It's somebody else is doing something else to cause sabotage around it, and that's that. There are no other possibilities. Ultimately, I think it's weird to build data centers in the South because they're far cheaper to run and operate. The farther north you go, the cooler the average temperature is. And in the near future, a lot of our data centers are going to be on satellites anyway and redundant arrays in space and low altitude orbits and whatnot. So I don't know. Um, and yeah, there is a need for AI. A lot of corporations will be building out their own AI infrastructure stuff, right? Because like you know, you take like AT&T, for example, right? They're not going to like have their employees log into OpenAI, right? Or Grok or Anthropic, anything. Just like go to the web browser and pull it up and start working, right? No. And start asking questions about the company. No. They're going to have their own in house version of that stuff that they built with their own in house knowledge, right? So that won't even affect us at all. And that stuff will all be very customized for them, you know? So a lot of these data centers we're seeing going up could be facilities, AI facilities for other corporations, right? Um, you have to throw a lot of hardware at these things if you're doing a major uh, model.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
And all these, like every Fortune 100 for sure, probably every Fortune 1000 is probably building out their own, thinking of building out their own AI infrastructure. They're finding out too that cloud may be not the best way to go from several perspectives, financial and security too. And corporations have issues like OPEX versus CAPEX, and they're probably wanting to move money around from an old model that hasn't worked and has stopped working well for a long time. Um, and that was a way to grift money, I think, from the 80s and 90s and aughts on, probably, especially the 90s on the consulting models. But yeah, so all these things will get affected by a different level of security. The data center stuff, I mean, they're going to be built, right? They're not going to make an impact on the environment like more than any other building. In terms of water, if you run a car wash, a little like two stall car wash in your little town, you're going to blow through 1,000 times more water, maybe 1,000,000 times more water per year, whatever, than a data center. Okay, so
What
uh,
about the electricity that a lot of people talk about? It's taking up a lot of electricity, or the
yeah.
noise that it makes in a lot of these areas that are got the housing developments.
So yeah, they will use a tremendous amount of power. From what I've heard, they're all supposed to be building their own, responsible for their own power. They're all building their own substation things. I think. I don't know. I think down the road, like really quickly too, you'll probably see them move from traditional grid to thorium-based power plants right on site. You know. Uh,
So
it
it's
would
funny
be
you
like the
say that,
size
Doctor.
of a cargo van maybe to run a data center, you know?
It's funny you say that about their own little like electrical area, their electrical grid or whatever. Because I have a huge center a few miles down the street from my house, and it has like its own little, like you see that the electrical pad or whatever right there across the street from it. And then if you go
Right.
down a few blocks, because I mean it's like three different huge buildings, and then there's another one of those electrical things like you're talking about, their own individual electrical, I guess, grid, or what did you call it? Electrical pad? What is it?
Probably like a substation
There you go.
or yeah, or something like what you consider that. But they'll probably have redundant ones, right? There'll be at least two. They'll have probably 2 to 3 diesel backup generators that kick in if they lose power. Um,
So I can attest to that. I've seen it with these
yeah,
data centers that are by my house. That they do have exactly what he's talking about regarding their own individual little place for
yeah.
electricity.
Yeah, if they have to run like the grid isn't that loud, the power plant is not that loud. If they have to kick into the diesel backups, that's really loud, yeah. It's like your whole house generator on steroids, you know? It really, really makes a lot of noise. But, yeah, aside from that, nah, data center noise is pretty much self-contained in the buildings, right? You have a constant loud hum in there. But I haven't heard of noise pollution problems outside of data centers before. I
Oh,
can
that's good.
dig
That's good to
into
know.
it and look, but yeah, I don't know. Biggest problems I see with
So
data centers is they get outdated and people move out of them and want new facilities all the time, and you end up with a lot of real estate space that's just there forever, right?
So, okay, everybody here, if you guys, I've got one more question for Dr. James. If you guys have a question here for him here on X, feel free to request a mic. I will unmute your mic. If you guys don't mind reposting the space, get some more people in here, because I know there's a lot of people who want to know about these data centers and the technology in general that we're coming into. And then also too over here, live on Rumble, live on X Space or X Live. If you have questions, please write your questions in the comment area. And my last question for you, Dr. James, before we go into questions is, can you talk a little bit about the future of AI when it comes to, we were talking about the medical, right? And how it will be safer and more protected in the future when it comes to people like getting our health information, all that kind of stuff. So do you maybe want to touch on that and give the audience a little bit of peace that we're coming into greater things when it comes to the technology?
I'm sorry, Egg, you were rubber banding a little bit there. Were you talking about a future of our medical records, security of medical
Yeah, well,
records?
remember we were talking the other day. You were talking about the safety, about the technology and what we're coming into, including our medical and the safety that we will have with it. It won't be so easy to get people's medical information, and just what we're coming
Oh,
into in
sure.
general with AI.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a whole granular level of control. I mean, I saw a comment from Brian Gamble a little in there. It's like, things will still be hackable because encryption is only one layer of security. Yes. Well, if all I was talking about was encryption, he'd be right. But I'm talking end to end, full stack, every single point in the chain of the data. So this is all protocols, everything. It's not just encryption. So it's the authentication mechanisms. It's hashing around it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, literally everything. Um, so it's a comprehensive way of making all data, all devices, and all communications in the world unhackable forever. It's not just encryption. So that's what the tech, like I'm actually talking about here. So consequently to your medical stuff, right? Yeah. So HIPAA came out. Like then my company, we did a lot of HIPAA audits and compliance stuff and all over the place. It was good business and it was somewhat effective. It there were a bunch of processes that were rolled out through the industry, and supposedly it was for everyone's safety. Um, it's tighter than than having no security at all. It is good to have some regulation around it. You need to be able to enforce it though. So a lot of HIPAA compliance is based upon self-reporting or having a third party come in and audit you, but you're paying that third party to do the audit, and they're usually going to write you a good report. That's just how the industry goes. Um, it's not like, oh, there was a slip and everybody reports it. Honestly, when people get hacked, they don't say anything about it until somebody else brings it up and the media hits on it. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we got hacked. We're just trying not to say anything about it. But yeah, so medical, you apply this to medical records. One, no one can gain access to them without your permission. Or you can put people in the chain, a certain set of doctors if you want, or whatever. You can do this with any type of data. But yeah, you could have your doctors would be allowed to get access to your records. Other doctors would not be able to. Only facilities where you absolutely had to have access to that record. You could do that type of granular control very easily. Um, you could integrate the procedures for setting that stuff up in through the whole intake process, and as treatment progressed, right? It would be a dynamic thing. Um, because you have different nurses and doctors coming in and out and whatnot. In terms of transmission of medical, are people hacking into your medical records and storage in a facility, or like hacking, at healthcare and getting all their data or something like that? That's mathematically impossible from that point on, right? You roll this out. It's not that it probably won't ever happen. It's that it cannot ever happen, right? It's impossible for that to happen. So, yeah, your medical records would be secure forever, right? And could not be exposed without your express permission. Obviously, it's a administrative controls. Like if you're in a coma and you have a executor, whatever it is, you're what do they call that? The power of attorney. Yeah. So yeah, they could do it for you, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's That's how it would apply to medical. Um, but then there's other things too. In terms of medical research, right? So right now, so I used to be like an administrator on the TerraGrid, which also then became the XSEED network, XSEDE. It's a lot of major universities have supercomputers, right? And TerraGrid was a network, is still a network of these supercomputers at all these different major universities. And then if you're a researcher or a doctor or whatever, and you want to like run your simulations of your research on computers or whatever, you'd call us up, any of the universities, and we just like schedule it out for you. So, like, we find a system that has clock cycles and time, and then we'd take their job and we'd run their job on the right system. We get it and give them access to everything, right? So consequently, we could see all the research too and know what they were doing. But mm, a lot of people didn't understand what they were seeing. I understood what I was seeing. It was interesting. But like people could run research, and then if they didn't like the way the results came out, they could just like wipe that out, change a couple of parameters, do whatever they do. And you do this over and over again, right? Um, if if you have vaccine trials everybody died, and it's like, oh, okay, let's not say that. You said, oh, it was all good, right? You wipe out the data. Yeah, you can't do that. So like with this in place, essentially all research data would be tied to blockchain, right? So once the data is generated from a study, for example, right, it's there. Okay, you can run another study, you change parameters, come with different results, but you're not going to wipe out the work you did before. It's going to be there for posterity, right? So that weather simulations where they try to predict, oh, we got an ice age, the sun's going to nova. It's like whatever it is, right? And we saw it. You see them massaging their experiments on supercomputers to get just the results that they want to pitch about, right? So that's manipulation of data by scientists because they're paid to by people who want to manipulate the public, right? With this technology, that would be impossible. Okay. You'd see it. You'd literally see it. You could even take an AI engine and say, hey, analyze this set of runs here, of job runs on this research, and say, was it manipulated? Are these results really? Are they hiding something? And then, yeah, boom, boom, boom. There you go. So, yeah, it would add almost a forced layer of honesty in scientific research or medical research or whatever. So sure, I can see where this could help not just storage of medical records, but actually help medicine itself, right? Um, I don't know. Is that what you were looking for, kind of?
Yeah, well, I was kind of just going back to our conversation the other day, talking about the safety, of what's to come when it comes to the medical, because I know that's another issue with people, their medical information being secure. Okay,
Yep.
ready? So we're
Yep.
going to go into some questions here for Dr. James. We've got him set up for 90 minutes, so we've got about another 40, not quite 45 minutes. But if you guys have a question, feel free to request mic, raise your hand. I will unmute your mic here on X Spaces, X Live, Rumble. Please write your question over under in the comment area and I will read it to Dr. James. So, Petrie, you had your hand up a little bit ago, so go ahead and ask Dr. James your question.
Actually, it was Moneyman who had their hand up first, so let them go first.
Oh, so do you not have a question?
Oh, I do have a question, but Moneyman had their hand up first, so let them ask first.
Go ahead, Moneyman.
No, you go first. I'm just kidding. Thank you. Appreciate that. So, yeah, Dr. James, what would be your advice to someone who's providing computer services to private practices, say like radiation oncology, as far as securing the data? And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. What's one thing that you would stress, just asking the basic question for someone that's supporting a radiation oncology practice with an EMR and encryption and the practice not really wanting to get an audit because it could uncover something like you're saying, and just generic question. Sorry. Thanks.
Sure, money man. Really? Okay, so I mean, regardless of the type of data, it's sort of the same practice, right? But with scans and um, radiology stuff. Well, the biggest thing obviously is ensure that every single thing you do is. I mean, don't do. So it's a medical environment. I wouldn't try anything new, right? Your encryption is going to be limited based upon the protocol stack in your systems, right? They're all going to support uh, a variety like AES and a handful of uh, popular encryption algorithms, right? And then your systems are negotiate transparently to you. So you're not really having to do anything extra in terms of encryption for comms. In terms of storage, I would think that you guys have security policy and procedures, right? And so everything will be yeah, it would be all be compliant with HIPAA. Um, just I mean, aside from the best practices infrastructure, right, is what you have to do for HIPAA, and then just your audits for compliance with everything. And the biggest thing with that is just making sure that every single checkbox there is done and you really thoroughly got it right, as opposed to because there's a lot of checkboxes on it all the time, right? So on HIPAA compliance, are you doing the compliance stuff too?
Yeah, it just feels like it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
We have encrypted data. Some of it goes to the cloud. You have what do you call it? BAA signed with the cloud providers, and
Yeah.
yeah, I was just
Yeah.
generally, But then you got idiots in the office that want to click on smiley faces and do stupid stuff. So you still there's still some vulnerability there. Just curious to see
Sure.
what you thought about that. So thank you, appreciate it.
Sure. And yeah, just personally, my own personal feeling is I don't like clouds. Okay. I really don't like clouds. One, because I feel that your stuff can be compromised ultimately by administrators on site. Um, once my protocols are rolled out for storage, I would feel a lot better about clouds because it's impossible for administrators to compromise the data.
Even though
Right.
we're
So,
like using the highest encryption, and like
yeah,
apparently they
sure.
say that you can't recover the data.
Yeah.
They are HIPAA compliant.
Yep. Somebody can recover data, right? The NSA can recover data. Average person can't recover data. And let's see, if you're, yeah, let's see.
So it sounds like if they
Uh,
wanted to mine that data, they could, from what you're saying, no matter what the encryption is.
Well, no, not necessarily. Okay. You'd have to be somebody really special to be able to mine the data, right? Either, oh, well, one, if you don't have legal access to the data, you'd have to be somebody pretty special. Um, there are probably, oh, okay. So for everybody to think the facade of encryption is real and it can't be right again, like, I mean, yeah, there's some trust, right? There are places of trust in the encryption world. We trust that the algorithms were coded up correctly, right? In spite of the fact knowing that algorithms have been modded after they were approved by agencies before they were released, but that's a different story. We also assume that the let's see how to put this. I'm trying to find the best way to. Okay, we're supposed to trust the certificate authorities, right? That's the big one. I don't want to go into too much, but let's say you could not trust the certificate authorities in the encryption world. If they were somehow compromised, what could they do? What could they see? Right? So that's one part of a vector to exposing the data you're talking about. So you'd have to have some type of uh, well, I don't even want to go into what you'd have to do, but it's quite complex and it can be done. But let's just say that I personally do not trust the certificate authorities that we have out there right now. And I also do not trust the encryption algorithms we have out there right now. Um, I figured out a way to break them when I was doing my PhD. And if I can do that, I can guarantee you there's a lot of other people that have figured this out too. It was an easy problem to solve. It was almost trivial, right? Um, and so I cannot imagine the NSA does not have that just as just a tool in their toolbox, right?
So what were you studying when you found that?
Encryption. I was doing my PhD in encryption.
Okay.
Yeah. It was well, I mean, I didn't when I found what?
When you found out it was easy to hack some of this encryption stuff,
Oh
because
yeah, I figured that out when I was doing my PhD. Yeah. Yeah, it was a discovery. Yep.
by accident, like how did you feel when you?
Not really. I mean, I was just thinking about the problem, you know. How do you break PKI? How do you break elliptic curve? How do you break Diffie-Hellman? You know, and it's like if you could do these things, then pretty much you crush the world's encryption, all of it. And I figured out how to do the PKI first, and then the rest just fell into place. So it was essentially figuring out how to factor the uh, product of large primes plus one, and it was like holy cow. And that was the thing that was all of a sudden it was like the light went off and it's like, oh no. And so then I just pursued that vector through the others. And yeah, so I cannot imagine that there's a lot of smart people in this field. There's a lot of smart people out there, a lot of mathematicians, a lot of uh, the NSA has people you just wouldn't believe. Off the chain brilliant folks. There's no way that at least several of them haven't figured this thing out, right? It's just impossible. So I don't know. I just I haven't ever seen or heard anyone else uh, figure this out. I think maybe if they did, they'd keep it quiet. I don't know, but I didn't have that luxury, so yeah.
If you can't say too much about it, I understand, Dr. James.
I can't say a whole lot about it without distracting from the space. It did have. I can say that it ended up with me calling General Clapper when he was director of national intelligence and having a long conversation with him and his staff, and then they stopped coming after me. So yeah, that's all I can. That's all. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole on here, Jenny. It would
No,
deflect
you're
from the
good.
message, which is you get into that as like a soap opera, and this is just tech. This is business. This is good versus evil here. These people
Well,
want
just
to keep. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say it just goes shows the audience, some of the people that you have really worked closely with. So this is no bullshit, everybody. He's coming to you with some facts and some great information, and hopefully some peace when it comes to some of these things that you guys are concerned about, i.e., data centers, i.e., the AI. But just remember, everybody, this technology has been around for a long time. They've just hidden it from us. So thank you, Money Man, for your questions. Great questions, by the
Sure.
way. Thank you. Little over my head, but great questions. Go ahead, Petrie.
Dr. James, I know we all keep talking about data centers and all, and this. What about, like, let's say free energy technologies, or let's say like healing technologies? I mean, like, how does that connect to the data centers? And let's say portal technologies. I mean, like, how is it all connected? That's one thing that I'd like to uh, talk about, if that's possible.
Sure. So let me see. It was the healing and the energy you were talking about primarily. So
Yes.
yeah, so again, like
Time travel, that kind of stuff.
yeah, okay, time. So which one to start with? The not healing, not time travel. I'm sorry, what's the first one you said?
I spoke about like
Free
um
energy.
Free energy. Yeah, yeah. Sorry,
the
man.
free
I
energy,
just my head went like three
the Tesla
places at once,
towers.
and I couldn't remember. Okay, so the free energy thing, right? So there's a
Yes.
psyop on every single one of these things out there, right? Getting a bunch of the population to believe a bunch of things that are like, woo. But in reality, there isn't free, nothing is free, right? People keep saying that they're going to defy the laws of thermodynamics, and they may redefine some laws of thermodynamics, but you can't defy some of these laws, right? So whenever anyone's out there claiming that they've got these, and I've seen people selling these machines and $50,000 you can get this, and they're all scams. But the pure free energy isn't like really the thing. Like there is an energy boost in the future that's going to for sure happen. It's going to happen like now. Okay. And there's a reason a lot of scientists disappeared, right? Again, and there's technologies people don't want out there, and this is one of them because of the way the power grids run and how expensive it is to get power to a remote play, on and on and on. Again, this is misfortune financing or misfortune economy here, right? Um, but take away the psyops, really, I mean, oil, we've got oil at the wazoo. Um, but they talk about liquid gold, right? You've been hearing a couple of references to liquid gold lately, right? And so a lot of people hear that and they think, oh, well, that's oil. It's like, no, didn't you see the Beverly Hillbillies? Oil is black gold, Texas tea. It is not liquid gold, it is black gold. Liquid gold is thorium. So, thorium in its natural state is a silver color. But when you use thorium for a power plant, you convert it to a liquid state and it turns to a gold liquid. Liquid gold is thorium. It's extremely safe. You could take one the size of like a Volkswagen, right? Beetle, and like power your house for 20 years, right? And then get a reload. Okay. You could take like a cargo van and power a small city. All right. You see yachts now that have thorium power plants on them, private yachts. You're going to see more and more of this. Okay. Well, boy, thorium really breaks the big oil stranglehold on everybody on the planet, doesn't it? And it changes the business model for a lot of people. There are a lot of places where it's really inconvenient to try to get power. And if you can just drop in one of these boxes and plug in and get perma power clean, don't worry about it getting zapped or whatever. I mean, it's it's pretty cool. It'll change the world. It'll change where we can explore. It'll change the kind of vehicles we can have. It'll change everything. And it's like almost infinite power, essentially, compared to what we're doing now. It's orders of magnitude more power than anything we've seen so far. So again, a lot of people want to block some progress, like the 5G stuff. Like everybody's like, oh, it's going to kill everybody. Well, it didn't kill everybody. The reason they want to stop 5G is because wireless speeds started getting so fast that people that are spying on us, not the NSA, the foreign people that control the certificate authorities, the deep state, those folks, it was getting too fast for their infrastructure to be able to spy on us. So they got to make everybody hate it and try to slow it down long enough so they can upgrade their infrastructure to spy on us at 5G speeds. In reality, Trump told us the 5G solution, which was Covfefe, right? And everybody says, what's Covfefe? Oh my God, it's a silly word. He's retarded. No, all right, it's cobalt, vanadium, iron, Covfefe. And that's up on those 5G towers. And that's what keeps it from emitting all that crazy bad wave stuff that hurts people. So that's that myth dispelled. So the data, the power. So then the medicine, the med bed stuff is the other big one, right? So the best med bed I ever saw was on Prometheus, that movie. Okay. Um, Sure, they'll come up with better scanners on beds, but they're not going to come up with a bed that you can sit in and it'll cure and heal any part of your body and every part of it, right? This is just not going to happen for a while. They can come up with something that you'll get on that may be able to analyze you better. They will have some things that will probably do frequency stuff that will help your body out, right? You can do a lot with frequency. And with a bed like that, you could direct frequency very well to wherever you need it. So I see advances like that in frequency-based medicines, in a platform where you're contained, um, almost like the MRI tube, but maybe not as. I don't know. I'm weird. I really like the MRI tube, and I always hear songs and the thumping and drumming. But whatever. But that's just me. I think. Yeah, the hype of the med bed is not the reality of a med bed, but it'd be nice to believe it. Maybe they'll have one in 100 years. I don't know,
You just killed
but
everybody's dreams
I know, I'm sorry, but
and
it's like
hope.
it's a limitation. The limitation for it is sensor technology and scale, right? And the body. Now, you'd also have to have, well, maybe not. No, you probably wouldn't have to have that. But I think nanobots would be involved in it. Okay, and so you're going to have to get people's buy-in on using nanobots inside the body, um, that they're aware of, aside from like the vaccines that. But yeah, so that's the medicine thing. The time travel thing. So I think what'll happen is that time isn't real. So eternity is real, right? Eternity has always been and goes on forever, right? So eternity is a fundamental thing. Space is a fundamental thing. There can be no end to space. So whatever we're calling this universe, if it has an edge, there's stuff past it, and there's stuff past that. So space is infinite. Eternity is infinite, and in terms of temporality, right? What we call time is just our attempt to quantize eternity, right? Like if you work in a recording studio, you like quantize music at a certain number of, certain frequency, right? Number of samples per second. You're breaking it down to smaller and smaller parts. Um, so yeah, that's what time is for us. It's just you can't grab a slice of time, right? So how are you going to compress it or stretch it? You literally can't physically grab a hold of it. Um, it's not a thing. So, like, all it is a measurement system, right? We use it to measure passing of events. When we have experiments that show, oh, we've dilated or done this or that to time, we haven't done anything to time. We've shown a limitation in our measurement systems, right? And the experiment constraints. So, in reality, time is not anything at all, and so, like, when Einstein posited the notion of space-time theory, he turned time to this real malleable substance, but it's not. So, like, everything built on it, has been hyped up for all these years. So our whole world of physics is based on a lie, right? It all you have to do is simply think about time, and you realize, look, if you can't grab a hold of something, you can't do anything to it, right? There is nothing of time to grab. So, right, it's non-malleable. It can't be bent or folded. But what you can do is this. So, because of Einstein, we believe that as you approach the speed of light, what we call the speed of light, um, mass gets heavier, and so that's a limit for us, right? That's a whole other topic of the speed of light being relative depending upon the star. Bigger stars will have a different speed of light. Are not emitting photons with the same force. It'll be a different energy. They'll prepare the space around them differently, right? So but again, we're locked into this Einsteinian thing that means, oh, you can't travel faster than the speed of light, whatever. So let's say that I'm gonna tie this back in there. Time travel. Okay, so let's say you have, like in quantum entanglement, you have two qubits and they're entangled and no matter how far apart they are, they have the same value, right? So what you do if you want to travel from A to B, you can't do anything with time, but you can eliminate time, right? So if you can create a tunnel between point A and point B, um, that is outside of the influence of a star, for example, or a large mass, then you can accelerate a particle at approaching infinite speed through a tunnel from point A to point B, so that the instant that the object hits point A of a tunnel, it immediately is at point B of the tunnel. It's a physical entanglement, right? So you're not time traveling, but you are traveling in zero time. Does that make sense,
Does that
Patrick?
make does that make sense, Patrick? Are you there?
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. It's just that the one thing that I find kind of interesting is just that all of these. I know it's going to sound cliche as to what I'm going to say, but all of these TV shows and all these movies that keep saying, "Oh, it's possible to visit different points of our history and being able to travel into those parts of history." I know that the cabal kind of use that as a way of mocking us
Yeah, definitely.
with it, but
Sure.
it's just that it's just that if they are telling us that this is indeed possible and they actually do have the technology to do so, then it is in its sense possible to be able to go into different parts of history. Because if we look at reality like a simulation, as Elon Musk says, and if a simulation is considered like a video game where we're just characters and avatars,
Right.
then basically time does actually have save points that you could visit and redo certain parts, which is basically considered like history. It's like reinsertion back into it. You
Yeah,
know,
I see, but like to make that loop, you have to ride physical rails on time, like physical time rails, you know? So like I can't
The
see us
Mobius
being
strip.
able to physically do it, but dude, I can totally see us being able to use like a so I'm not big on like looking glass technology or these things that because
No,
there are
no,
a
no, the
lot of hype
Mobius
about
strip.
them, but there's
The Mobius strip.
yeah, there's some reality to it, like a movie strip. Yeah, what you can do, I think, is you can use math and what they're calling looking glass, and I think you can probably use a system to virtually travel back to any point where we have enough data about it in time and recreate it, right? So that you're viewing it, right? But I just don't see any way to traverse physical time rails, right? I can see how to eliminate time in travel, but I don't see how to travel to other times because those times aren't, it's, they're gone, right? It's like, and it's not something that was, it's like there's, like you were talking about almost like a breakpoint thing where you could feedback and return to a point and another, like loop back into it and insert and then go over, right? Like a back propagation or something in through the system. Um, the I mean, you could see that, but I do not see how you're going to be able to get a physical manifestation out of what you're viewing, right? I can see how you can get to the visual of it, of what happened at a certain time, perhaps in history, but I don't see any way to transcend that and then get a body or an object or to like create a writing or you know what I mean, or making something manifest in a different time period, either forwards or backwards, right? I don't know. I mean, I hope somebody can prove me wrong someday, but I thought about this a lot for a lot of years and just it just when you realize that time itself is not a thing, it's like and yeah, that you're right too. They've used the movies, Hollywood's here. I mean, like, and series is about this stuff over and over again. Um, really hip stuff. I like the Stargate stuff because they're not transcending time, right? They literally are doing that from one place to another place, just poof, pretty darn quickly, like a Stargate. But and that's the type of technology that I do believe is possible, right? That's essentially the I do believe it's possible to create a Stargate type technology. Yeah. absolutely. I have some math on actually how to do it, but that's another story. That would be quite a bit of
That's
time
another
to go
podcast.
into it. Yeah, sure. For a really bunch of nerds, right? That's some geeky stuff. Yeah, that's not for the faint of heart.
Did that
But
answer your
thank you so
question?
much for your questions, Petra. I hope I answered them. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, thank you,
well, if
Patriot.
okay, well, if we are indeed going quantum, then time itself actually flows differently in the quantum realm. It can go forwards and backwards. You just need to find points, like portals through the quantum realm that allows you to move through time either forward or backwards. So in a way, it kind of sort of works in the quantum realm.
Did you want to respond to
Yeah.
that, James, Dr. James?
Yeah, sorry, I hit the mic the wrong way. Yeah, I've seen that with information bits actually, right? What you're describing. I've seen some experiments that do that. And so like one of my great uncles was John Wheeler, the physicist, John Archibald Wheeler, and he created like it from bit. And that was one of his phrases, you know. Um essentially tying digital or information to physical reality, right? So if there's something to that, then I could see the warbling in time in a quantum level, right? To get that to manifest on scale, I don't see a vector for it. But again, that would be technology for generations down the road. I think I don't know, man. That's uh, I'm not going to say that that can't be done, right? But because I have seen it done with bits of information. Um, uh, and I haven't looked into actually those experiments deeply enough to know about the mechanisms they use. Right? I read results on some of that stuff. I'd have to look into it to know more. It's perhaps possible, Petra, that someday we could do that. Just not today.
Oh, I'm sure we've got the technologies. I'm sure we've got the technology, and I'm sure that's already done.
Thank you.
Well, any rate, Jen, thank you very much for having me here,
Of course.
and Dr. James, thank you very much for allowing me to ask Dr. James these questions.
Of
No, it's great
course. Thank you
seeing you
for
And
again,
being
uh,
Petra.
here.
I'll be stepping down. If whoever wants to take my space, they can more than welcome do so. And well, good night from London, and I wish you all a fantastic evening.
Thank you, Patriot. Glad you
Likewise,
came in
Pete.
again.
Thank you so much.
It is a pleasure. It is always a pleasure.
Glad to have you here, my friend. All right, everybody. I don't see any other hands. We had Dr. James set for 90 minutes. We're right there. We're almost there, guys. About 8 minutes out. So if nobody else has any questions for Dr. James, he will be back here in 2 weeks. He will be back here on the 20th. And we are going to do a series of these podcasts for you guys to hopefully help many of you guys out when it comes to the technology and what we are coming into. It's not all fear-based, right? A lot of it is it's deep, so I hope you guys can follow along. Some of the language we may not be able to follow because it is it's technical. It's yeah, some of the like you're going into numbers and everything. I'm like, okay. But the conversation was great, Dr. James, and I'm just super stoked that you're here and to bring some light to something that they have made so dark. So I'm super stoked for that.
Well, thank you so much, Jenny, for the space. I really appreciate it. Yeah, the goal, I guess, of the series will be to dispel fear porn in tech, to try to get some sanity, and the biggest goal really is what was from the very start is to try to do everything we can to drive a wedge in an economy based upon the misfortune of others, right? So if we can turn this around to where people are rewarded for helping others, and that you know there's no reward, for hurting others or not helping them. Let's say you're decented for not helping, right? We can turn the world around like that. Then we've changed the world forever, right? Technology is a good place to start because they use it against us so terribly. So thank
Yeah,
you
they do.
again. This is awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. James. I appreciate you. And everybody here, thank you for being here. I want to say thank you to my audience, everybody. Without you, the Revival of America would not be. I am going to be celebrating my 6th season here on July 17th. So that's a huge accomplishment, everybody, for myself, because as you know, many of you, I own a business here and that takes precedence. So between that and doing the podcast, we made it 6th season, and we're gonna keep going strong afterwards. So with all that, with that, everybody, God bless you all. Have a great rest of your evening. Come back here on Wednesday. Well, let's see. Wednesday, I don't have any X spaces. It's all going to be 107 will be on my Rumble live if you want to come over there and join that. Of course, I'm going to stream it live here on X as well as Rumble. Let's see, Captain Kyle will be over on Telegram, as well as Rick Anson from Brain IQ Health and Ageless Peptides. Just different ways of you guys to have some healing products, right? Without the BS of big pharma. You know where that is, where that's going. So God bless you, Dr. James. I appreciate you, and I appreciate all of you guys here. So take care, everybody. We'll see you on the next
Likewise.
one. Take care.
Thanks, Jenny. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, y'all.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.